Gaming Manual.
Hey everyone, this is Josh from the Gaming Manual, and today on Treasure Trove, I'll be covering Chubby Chirrub for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Chubby Chirrub is a side-scrolling platformer where you play as an angel on a mission to rescue all of your friends, all while avoiding those evil, dastardly dogs with their loud barks, amongst other enemies as well. I know it sounds a bit absurd, because it is, but it was the early days of the NES era, and we didn't ask questions. The prospect of playing an arcade game at home was far more impressive now at this time, so storyline and plot kinda took a back seat.
Get a load of this guy, looking like he's some kind of naked flying guy.
In the original Japanese version, the main character was actually a ghost, not an angel. And the game had more of a storyline with cutscenes, showing the main character worrying about their friends. It was based on a very popular manga that, when it was localized, they didn't think people outside of Japan would be able to follow, so it was rebranded, the cutscenes removed, due to these cultural contexts. The gameplay. The core mechanic involves flying across cityscapes, or even out in the forest, eating food to replenish your hunger meter, all while you're trying to avoid aggressive dogs, occasionally finding some lollipops that allow you to shoot hearts at these dogs. You have full control in the air, but your flight time is directly correlated to your hunger meter, so make sure you keep eating, because if you get too hungry, you'll fall to the ground, only to ensure your doom. It's a very strange mix of exploration, dodging, and resource management. And yes, the controls are a little floaty, but it's manageable. The levels are short, but they ramp up in difficulty very quickly. Enemies become more aggressive and food less plentiful. Your score is based mostly on collecting food and surviving, but you need the food to survive, so it's not really the main focus. And to top it off, all of this has to be done before sunset. As you'll see, the time keeps advancing, and if it gets too late in the day, you'll lose a life. Chubby Chirrub can be controlled using the D-pad and move in any of the 8 directions. Pressing down and B simultaneous will jump off roofs and walls. The A button is used to eject the Gao Gao cannon, which fires the heart symbols. The B button is used for jumping up and down. If continuously pressed, you can fly. At the top of the screen, you'll have your score, player count, the cannon count for the remaining hearts you can fire, hunger meter, and the time indicator. The time indicates from 8 AM to 8 PM. After 8 PM, you'll lose a life. Each day covers a different adventure and shows a different scenario. In the middle of each adventure, there will be a particular screen that will stop the screen from advancing. The screen cannot move until Chubby Chirrub finds a particular object, food, or person in that scene. At the end of the adventure, you must open a window in a building to find your missing friend. Once Chubby Chirrub starts moving, the game starts. The clock at the top of the screen is always ticking away. Any time left over will be added to your score at the end of the level. You can jump on roofs and walls, and you can control it yourself moving left or right. But remember, the height of each jump is always the same. While flying, you are faster than when you are walking, but it consumes more power. It's also the main movement in the game, so make sure you keep yourself well fed. Special candy is worth 100 points, but doesn't fill up your hunger meter. Instead, it gives you ammo for your Gao Gao cannon. When you eat a P mark, you become invincible. You have your small dog, worth 100 points, your medium-sized dog, which can't be killed, Chow Chow, the large dog, the bulldog, which is worth 200 points, the crow, which cannot be killed, the burglar, the balloon, cannot be killed, Smoke, also can't be killed, and the sparrow, which also can't be killed. You can get extra lives by getting more points. 10,000 points will get you the first, 30,000 will get you your second, and then 5,000 and every 5,000 afterwards will get you an additional life. The hunger meter. As I said before, the hunger meter is a very important mechanic of this game. It's a kind of timer to help incentivize you keep moving forward and not wasting too much time. As a result, you should always prioritize collecting food over anything else. Just make sure that you're not putting yourself in harm's way to do so. As strange as this may seem, each level has a couple of screens where you actually have to collect all of the food in order for you to move on. This is a good way to refill your hunger meter, but it's not without risk, as they always have enemies on screens. All the food will only replenish your hunger meter, except for the lollipop. This doesn't actually refill your hunger meter at all. Instead, it'll give you hearts, typically 2 or 3, which are your only means of attack. The hunger meter is also how you fly. If it gets too low, you'll end up falling to the ground, and while it is possible to collect food and fly again, I find it very rare they're able to do so before a dog or another enemy gets you. The only drawback I see to the hunger meter is that if the threshold gets too low, you're unable to fly until you collect more food, which is pretty much a death sentence, so you're only delaying the inevitable. Your only attack is using those hearts you collect to shoot at the enemies. Well, let me rephrase that, to shoot at one type of enemy, the dog. The rest of the enemies you'll just have to dodge on your own. Now you might be wondering about boss fights. There isn't any real boss fight per se, but occasionally you'll have this guy who's holding a friend of yours hostage. He'll throw a bone as well as several bombs at you. You have to collect the bone and throw it back at the bad guy to get the dogs to bite him, all while he keeps throwing those bombs. Strange. It's the closest thing to a boss fight, but it's very strange as there's no real health meter and it only takes one hit. Music. The music is probably the most notorious part of this game. The short and repetitive little jingle that loops for the entire level, every level. My recommendation, put on your own music while you're playing this game and you don't really need to worry about any sound effects, aside from the barking, which have visual indicators, so again, there's not much to say in terms of music and sound. There's only 16 levels in total, and similar to arcades, once you beat the final level, it actually loops back to the beginning, so this isn't really a beat the game situation, and more of a score attack where you're just trying to get the high score. Here's some tips for me to get the most out of this game. Stay away from the bottom of the screen, as this is where most of the enemies come from. Well, most of the dogs, I should say. And they're actually the most threatening, as they have a ranged attack. Flying mid-screen is actually the best place, as this will give you time to react to both the dogs from below, as well as the birds that will be flying through the air or bouncing around. Scroll abuse was used a lot of times in arcade machines. If you keep moving forward, the enemies will rapidly despawn once they're off screen. Don't try to kill everything. Remember, the objective is to rescue your friends at the end. So trying to kill all the enemies is actually a good way to get yourself killed. There are some bonus areas, but they're pretty risky. For the bosses, or these longer fights, the best thing to do is quickly fly under the enemy, grab the bone and fire at him, and then continue to hang out near the bottom of the screen. Your hitbox is actually bigger than it looks, so it's best to give yourself a little bit of extra breathing room. If you think that you might be getting hit by an enemy, you probably are. For example, your feet in your halo can actually register hits, so you have to take those into account. At the end scene, when you have to open windows, be careful not to fly directly up, as sometimes dogs will jump out of the windows and this can result in an instant death. You should use hearts sparingly, because you can only hold 9 at any given time, and they're only effective against the dogs. Grabbing food and taking out the dogs aren't always worth it, so don't risk a life trying to earn one. And my last bit of advice, if you run out of food and you start to fall, you lose all control until you touch the ground. Chubby Chirrup is a fun game, but only if you really enjoy the arcade style of mechanics. This is Josh from the Gaming Manual. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Let us know of your opinion of the game in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Gaming Manual.
Get a load of this guy, looking like he's some kind of naked flying guy.